Yeah, I am. I tried to pick the brains of the players during the week, and they've described it sort of like a Melbourne summer day on 25, sort of 26 degrees. So I'm really looking forward to it. Never been to Alice Springs. I've been to Darwin, but never Alice. So new scenery.
He's never won there before, funnily enough. We played a few games there. Have you taken anything away what you did on the Adelaide trip? Because you got the chockies there. So.
Yeah, I think you've got to take certain elements away. You get away with the group after a loss which we had leading into the Adelaide game, and you really try and galvanise the side. And we're going up there to win, and that's how we need to approach it. But it's going to be a really interesting trip. We'd like to finish on a win coming into the bye.
North Melbourne didn't quite get the win there. Talking to a few Melbourne supporters, they kind of thought they kind of saw the loss coming. Is that just the natural attrition of a young side? They're going to have ups and downs and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's the mentality of the Melbourne supporter as well. Maybe because they've seen it over the years. But we didn't see the loss coming. We planned like we wanted to win. We played some good football. We didn't play that well early on, but I think people need to understand it's still a pretty young side. I think we're the third youngest side in the competition, so you're going to get those fluctuations. We'd like to play more consistent football, but you take that with the young side.
It's a bit of a reflection of the whole league, isn't it? The ups and downs are everywhere. You can't really pick. I don't really get 9 tips a week, do they?
Yeah, I mean, I do footy tipping with the local radio station back home, and it's one of those things where you're unsure. Even when GWS play Collingwood, you're unsure who's going to win. So it's becoming more of a mental game now, and preparing well and making sure you play 4 quarters. Otherwise, you're on the end of a loss.
You've seen it all over your time in footy. What can you tell young groups to kind of build through this? Did you kind of see the same thing at Hawthorn when you were first coming through?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what you try and do as you go along is minimise the gap. I mean, your really good games have got to be really good, but you can't have your really bad games right down the bottom. So you've got to try and play a level of consistency, and that's probably what we're trying to do, bridge that gap. And how we do that is probably in our preparation.
You're nearly halfway through the season with the D's. What did you found the differences? Have you expected what you expected at the Demons?
Yeah, I've loved it. I've loved every minute. We'd like to be winning more games, but I mean, for me, a new environment, a young group who are competitive and want to strive for success. I think it's been a great transition for myself, and I've loved every minute.
You've kicked a couple of clutch goals this year. Is that something you're really keen to do when you need to take the chance?
Yeah, I think so. I think as a senior player and as a leader of the football club, you put in positions where you need to complete the task, and I've been fortunate enough to do this year. Unfortunately, both of those times we haven't got the win, so it would have been nice to kick us to a win, but unfortunately not.
You played on the edge for a long time. You like to go in hard. What do you thought of the punching all situation this week? It's blown up a bit, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has, and I think we've seen a few cases over the recent weeks and recent rounds that are probably not good for the game. And I think we lose sight as players what happens at grassroots, and I think if kids are seeing us do that on the field and on the TV, they're trying to mimic that at lower levels. So I think we need to take responsibility as a professional sport and rub it out, which I think will probably be done.
Have you been surprised how quickly everyone's jumped on it and tried to stamp it out?
I think so. I also think players are playing for free kicks as well, and that's part of the reason. But I think if the action is taken out, I think we can get a fairer game, especially around stoppages, because players are probably pushing it to the nth degree.
Your old mate Buddy was there yesterday talking about it. He's got a bit of a record. He doesn't mind a bit of push and shove. Were you kind of laughing a little bit inside when you saw him kind of condemning the action? Yeah,
it's funny. As players, you get asked a question, you go, I don't think I've ever done it, but then you probably see 5 or 6 occasions where you've done it. And sometimes it's just a reactionary thing on the field when you're getting challenged by someone and you've got your arms there, and that's just what happens. But I think in the back of your mind now, knowing that that's not accepted and you can cop either a fine or a suspension, players will certainly think about their decisions.
Young Angus Brayshaw's having a few weeks off due to his concussions. Is that something you could help him with about how to navigate through a game and protect yourself a little bit more? Yeah,
it's a hard one. I mean, he's a ball player, and when you've got a game where you can get tackled or bumped from any direction, it becomes hard. And I suppose with Gus, it's just about getting that confidence back about not worrying about the head knocks and just sort of playing the game like he did as a junior. But you've also got to have your health in the forefront of your mind as well. So he'll decide what's best for him and have a little bit of time out of the game and hopefully come back in a good headspace.
Is there any little tricks you can kind of go into the game just knowing where you can get yourself into trouble?
No, I don't think so. I think it's a game. If you approach it like that, you get found out. It's a pretty physical game, so if you don't approach it knowing that the bumps and bruises are going to come, you can you get found out. So it's a hard one because it is a contact sport. We try and protect the head as much as we can, but there are innocuous bumps throughout the game that you just can't help.
Nearly halfway through the year, you expect the club where it is now is where you thought you'd see?
We'd probably like to be a few wins more than what we are, and the competition is so close at the moment. If we had won on the weekend, we're probably sitting sixth. So we need to keep pushing and keep striving the group, and we've played some really good football this year. It's been some positive steps forward, but we just need to put that four-quarter performance together to get that result.